desk for the next 3 matches tonight. And we're already in picks and bans between Jakarta Juggernauts and Saigon Juggernauts for game 2.
Alright, so bans following, excuse me, on, there we go. Alright, bans following a similar-ish style on both sides. Zeref, Lissandra, we saw that before. This time the Jarvan being taken away from safety. No surprise there, he did of course get off multiple buff steals in the previous game. really scot.
Walking out of the jungle.
You know, surrounded by 3 enemy members.
3-on-1. Sidestep, sways in and out.
Thresh, you know, Jinx, all with suitable abilities to slow him down, and he gets away scot-free. The Gnar, interesting from Saigon Jokers. Looks like Luffy was perhaps the one member that they had a little bit of trouble with. But you know, they did ban away his Rumble when they were on blue side, and now with the Jakarta Juggernauts on blue side, they secure that for themselves.
Surprising that they're going to give a Rumble back to Luffy and not try and take Gnar away. Maybe they wanted to take 2 picks uncontested here.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, the Janna from Su was really not the highlight of the show, if you will. I mean, yes, he did a great job setting down the wards, which really activated a lot of the plans or the action for the more you know, prolific champions on the side of the Saigon Jokers. But nevertheless, well, they have the Cassidy. He'll be able to dance in and out of the team fights, no problem at all. But I must say this is a little bit surprising, just in terms of the first 2 picks. Not that the rest of the composition has come together. Just due to the fact that the Saigon Jokers had such a fantastic early game start. You know, I expected to see, and maybe we will see, you know, a very fast strategy, kind of more pick-ish. You know, maybe Thresh, even something crazy like a Blitzcrank. To just find a kick and then snowball the game. Because really, when they were able to close out the game so convincingly at 25 minutes, there's no need to really wait out the game, so to say.
Saigon Jokers with a Cassidy pickup on Nixwater so far. That could be played by Nixwater, or Carrot could be taking that one into the mid lane. Both solo laners of the Saigon Jokers like that champion very much, and they're very comfortable on the champion too. Safety has picked up Janna. That will be given over to Su. We saw how he played Janna in the previous game. We can't say he had a phenomenal performance because we didn't see much from either team last game. It was more of a, I kill one, I take an objective. I kill another, I take another objective, all the way until the Nexus towers.
Pretty much.
They look like they want to pick up Lee Sin here, so that should be given over to safety. So it's either the top or mid laner being picked the last for Saigon Jokers. That's a very interesting situation for them too, because it is top or mid. Because Cassidy can be played by Nixwater or Carrot, it gives them a very versatile pick as their last pick.
That's right, and I do think that the Cassidy will be going over to Carrot. Although neither of them have played, neither Nixwater or Carrot have played Cassidy in the GPL Spring Split. Like you said, I mean, they had experience on this in solo queue and whatnot. Of course, a very versatile champion in its own right. But Carrot, the times he has played his champions, really focused a lot more on the assassins. Ari would fit in there as well. He did play the Jace in the previous game as well. Just the ability to open fights. And again, this is the 5.2 patch. So Ari will have had, you know, a little bit of I guess we could say a minor rework to her kit. The charm doesn't have the amplified damage anymore. The Q gives that drastic increase in movement speed when it is used at the onset. And you know, from what I've heard from some players, it makes Ari feel a lot more mobile, you know, even without the usage of her ulti. So it will be very interesting to see Carrot bring that out.
I remember reading a tweet from Sean saying, I just played a game of Ari without reading the patch notes and have no idea what I'm doing anymore. I sat in base for 3 minutes reading my skills. So
3 minutes?
Hopefully Carrot has read the patch notes and understands what Ari can bring to the table here. And it will be Nixwater with Cassidy up in the top lane. Looking at the Jakarta Juggernauts lanes here. Apple's going to be taking Jace. 2J is going to be taking Nunu into the jungle. And we're going to have Caitlyn and Morgana in the bottom lane up against a Sivir and a Janna. Although Caitlyn does outrange Sivir, traditionally Sivir destroys the Caitlyn matchup.
Yeah, I mean, just the way the skill sets work, Sivir has a lot of things going for her, whereas for Caitlyn, it's really the auto attack that is in her favor. Nevertheless, just the way the lane swaps worked for Saigon Jokers in game number 1, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again. Because the Jakarta Juggernauts were so slow to react, and even when they did, it was really sloppy. You know, Cruiser looked extremely lost. The mid lane Apple was caught out a few times. And there were a few times they caught them in rotations, you know, in the river as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Saigon Jokers just went for that again. Then again, there's always that argument, you know, that they really have such a dominant hand, just in terms of, you know, outclassing their opponents. Straight 2-on-2 matchups really wouldn't be something that they shy away from either.
My question is, do you want to put Kassadin into that 2v1 lane? I mean,
true.
Rumble, of course, doesn't do very well in the 2-on-1 lane. He doesn't even do well in the 1-on-1 lane very early on at all. Kassadin is not a champion that you really want to fall behind early either. He takes some time to ramp up. He needs a ton of mana for his Riftwalk. He needs a lot of minions farmed in order for him to pick up the key items that he needs to melt the backlines of the Jakarta Juggernauts. So it's going to be interesting to see if SAJ do try and force that lane swap. And I feel like Kassadin has a stronger lane than Rumble actually in the top lane.
Alright, we'll have to see what the choice is then from the Saigon Jokers. And again, I must say I'm a little bit surprised by this pick phase coming out from SAJ. Just again, due to the fact that they so convincingly had, you know, a start of the game from minute 1 to minute, you know, 25 or so. They have picked champions that need a little bit of scaling. As well as, you have to say, well, they don't have the best dueling potential. I mean, this Sivir pickup as well. I mean, Prince had a fantastic game on Graves, was able to 2v1. You can't imagine he'll have that same kind of literally explosive impact on the Sivir. Will really need to be, you know, grouped up with his team. And, you know, we were just reflecting on game number 1. There weren't really those 5-on-5 fights, which is where Sivir shines.
Look at Saigon Joker's team composition here. Nixwater, Riftwalks. Safety, he has Resonating Strike and Sonic Wave. Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike. He has his Safeguard as well. And he has his Dragon's Rage Kick. And on top of that, Carrot's gonna have his ultimate. Prince has the speed boost. Janna has the speed boost. This is one very mobile team.
That's true. That's
going
true.
up against the Jakarta Juggernauts here. That just might be why the Saigon Jokers have drafted this team composition. It is incredibly mobile, and it might be able to evade Jakarta Juggernauts. Yes, Luffy does AoE damage, but his ultimate only targets a single line. 2J's ultimate only targets an area around him. Apple has some ability with the acceleration gate. Caitlyn's not an incredibly mobile champion, and Morgana has to target everyone around her with soul shackles.
True.
If Saigon Jokers can disperse easy, especially because they have Janna with the Monsoon, it's going to be very easy for them to evade the key abilities from Jakarta Juggernauts.
Alright, so I mean, like I said, SAJ, from what I recall of them and what we've seen from their history, even though their players are swapped around, it does seem that something with their coaching or just the way the team runs, they like to have very thematic games sometimes. You know, they ran a sniper composition in the past many times before that fell out of the meta. And now, like you said, I mean, I didn't quite pick up on it, but you're right. Every one of these champions is able to dance around in some manner or the other. Fly here, fly there, skip around, hop there. And we'll have to see. I mean, this isn't the final game of groups for them, but against a team like, honestly, sitting at the bottom of the table is Jakarta Juggernauts. You know, put together something that's a little more fun, a little more mobile. Maybe test the limits of how quick your team is to dance around Summoner's Rift, get those rotations going, and see if you can really push that agenda.
That's right. We're about to head into that game as well. Jakarta Juggernauts still have not picked up a single game in the Green Premier League so far. They are the representatives from Indonesia, the newest region being added to the Green Premier League. Whereas Saigon Jokers, they are one of the veterans. One of the few remaining veterans of the GPL. I believe only Bangkok Titans is the other one.
Since the inception of...
Yes. Bangkok Titans and Saigon Jokers, the only remaining big guns of the GPL. Yeah.
So, I mean, while of course we are talking really about just how it is, again, a David Goliath matchup, I mean, all credit for Jakarta Juggernauts struggling through. Of course, they did make the Saigon Jokers pay a little bit for their aggression at times in the previous game, though it is no lie that they are simply outclassed. Again, for their first entry into the GPL, while it has been far from smooth, the fact that they are able to turn the aggression of a very superior team on its head perhaps shows a little bit of signs of life for them as they continue to mature in this league.
0.63 attack speed on Nunu with 28 ability powers. Prince is going to miss the binding there, and Sue is going to take a lot of damage from Rofens too.
Janna versus Caitlyn level 1.
Actually, you know, Sue actually benefit benefits from dueling out Rofens early on despite the loss of health because he would get 5 gold for every auto attack.
Got that early game.
You know, I like to think of that as a strategy when I play in solo queue. Hey, I'm gonna go harass the enemy team as a support, get a lot of gold for it, and then I die and I'm like, was it worth it? Probably.
Only if you type it in all chat.
Only if you type it in all chat. But 2J here has picked up 28 ability power on his Nunu. No attack speed. This is very interesting.
Yeah, I think even the early wards are very, very telling of just how Saigon Jokers are going to play the rest of this game. They say, alright, 2 or 3 of you show bottom side. We're just going to go top side and get some deep wards down. So they have complete vision of the entire team of the Jakarta Juggernauts. And that will set up however the lanes, you know, they want them to be, as we said in the pregame, whether or not they want the lane swap or not.
That ward's done its job.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like they will want the 2v2 indeed, because they have sent Nixwater down bottom as they saw
that movement speed. Wow.
Rofens and Cruiser. Yeah, man.
This is the first time I've seen Ari played with the new movement speed buff.
That's fun stuff. My goodness, wow.
Dodging out the shockwave. Sorry, shockwave. Shock blast from Chase.
Oh, whoa. Okay, that's not fun to play against whatsoever.
Foxy
I mean,
lady right there.
I believe Riot, you know, perhaps
Riot, please.
in their calculation said, all right, we're going to remove the charm amplification, but
Jupiter Storm would not be happy with this change.
I mean, the crazy thing is the damage component of the Q still remains. And a lot of times, you know, when you animation lock yourself to throw down the Q, that's when the opponent, you know, laner would return some damage. Now with the movement speed buff to that, that's no longer an option, really. Apple's just having a tough time of life right now.
Carrot is decimating Apple in this lane.
Yikes.
Missed one minion and has been demolishing him in terms of harass as well. Absolutely nothing that Apple can do about this right now. One thing I wanted to point out earlier is that when 2J was taking his Gromp and Blue buff, the Trinket Ward placed down by the Jakarta Juggernauts when they invaded while Sue was dueling out Caitlyn. Spotted the 2-on-1 swap.
Yeah, that's right.
It showed the Saigon Jokers that Caitlyn and Morgana were heading up into the top lane. This allowed the Saigon Jokers to react to that and actually send up Janna and Sivir to go into that 2v2 lane.
Yeah.
So that's allowed Cassidy to go one-on-one with Luffy in the bottom lane, which I believe Saigon Jokers want because they reacted to the two-on-one lane.
And what are your thoughts on Safety's invade into the enemy jungle right here? Because, you know, I always thought that Nunu excelled in terms of controlling the enemy jungle himself. It wasn't really worth it for Safety on Lee Sin, you know, who likes to hit lanes harder with his own ganking, to go and drop by the red right there.
I feel that's a little bit optimistic to try and invade into a Nunu jungle.
Yeah, yeah.
He did stop 2J from picking up the red buff right away, but that's about it.
Yeah,
he would have lost more than he was there.
You can only delay a Nunu so long in the jungle.
Delayed him for a while, but yeah, as you can see there, Lee Sin just picked up his red buff, whereas Nunu was able to gank the mid lane. Now Safety's actually going to come in for a gank
20
here.
forward wards for the Jakarta Juggernauts in the top side, so
I think
Safety.
Go for it.
A
little bit slow, but they get a Q.
Alright, not too much follow-up from Prince since he's very, very far behind. Rofens flashes away, red buff ticking down on him to slow him down. Oh, the auto attacks, they've got him. Ooh, wait. Okay. Nope.
Good play from SAJ. They jumped onto Cruiser. Cruiser was forced to use the black shield, thinking that they were going to jump onto him.
Yeah.
Although we did see Rofens flash away, immediately Sue followed up with the exhaust. We saw the red buff tick from Safety. Safety flashed onto him as well. Even Prince flashed into range to get the boomerang blade down. And a few flashed into range after his boomerang blade hit in order to get the last few auto attacks off. They pick up a kill into the top lane.
Yeah, a very controlled pickup right there. You can see that the flashes, as you mentioned, only burnt after the black shield had already been drawn out. And Cruiser, I think, himself realized that it's that moment when you play Morgana support, you're like, ah, crap, you know, after you black shield yourself, you can see, yeah, he didn't even flash away because, you know, right after that, the focus immediately swapped over to Rofens.
I felt like Cruiser showed his hand too early. The reason why I say this is because a lot of players forget that Lee Sin's E, his Tempest, has 2 parts to it. The first part
Yeah.
marks your opponents. It reveals invisible units, and it also marks them with the Tempest. Using it again will then slow the opposition. So if Cruiser actually waited for Lee Sin to Sonic Wave Resonating Strike into the Morgana, then when Lee Sin uses E, see if Rofens was affected by it. Then he can choose who to put the Black Shield onto, and at the same time, he should have flashed away right after the Q connected, and Cruiser actually saved this flash there, which may have been one of the reasons why Rofen lost his life. He should have walked away from his AD carry and flashed away immediately as soon as Lee Sin kicks in. Because if you look at the top lane too, the angle in which you walk towards the tower, if Rofen didn't walk towards AD carry, would have been much faster than walk straight back.
That's right. So a learning experience for the Jakarta Juggernauts dual lane, but maybe a little bit of a lesson in dragon control for Saigon Jokers as well. It's not respecting the Nunu strength and able in really picking up a very, very fast dragon. They will of course have a bit of a timer on it as they see Apple heading back into lane right after securing that dragon for his team. And there you go, Jakarta Juggernauts making some moves of their own to secure objectives this time around. I mean, that's really where the Nuno excels, just being able to hit objectives in the jungle so fast with his consume. Gonna be holding the lane for Apple, but oh dear.
Ujay,
Oh
he
dear.
might get taken down here. That's a consume and flash. That was a bit cocky.
A little bit silly as well, as really he was just there to
Silly's a good
hold
word.
the lane. Now Apple has to stay, and it's like, oh, so you're gonna back, but I wanted to back, bro. So, I mean, just and again, SAJ, I think they really just play the map to their advantage. Every time they see, you know, two members caught somewhere, they're gonna go in and get some deep wards. As we just saw, they've even dropped a pink ward in the enemy
They're gonna
side.
jump onto Morgana here.
Cruiser as well as Orphans. Need
They
to be
won't be able
careful.
to jump onto Morgana, who flashes away, puts a Dark Mind straight onto him. As soon as she get out this one, though. 3.
Yep, pretty standard right there, knowing that the jungler has been occupied, has to head back to base after burning his flash, mid has been occupied. No really collapse potential coming up from the Jakarta Juggernauts. They go for a bit of an aggressive play on the top side, burn a flash, and so far, you know, as we said, Sivir able to match up against Rofens in pretty much every aspect except for the auto attack range. Doing so far so good for himself, even has a CS lead of about 7 or so, on top of the assist.
Earlier you mentioned that it's a little bit of a learning point for Jakarta Juggernauts here, and I believe the GPL is, the entire GPL is a learning point for them. They are the newest region being added. They
That's
just
right.
got their servers about a year ago, just over a year ago. Some of these players, Luffy is one of them, has been practicing on the North American servers. From Singapore and Malaysia, we would get about between 180 to 200
Yeah.
5 ping maybe,
That's
depending
right.
on how fast your internet service provider is. In Indonesia, the minimum ping you'd be able to get is 230. That's what these players used to be practicing on for tournaments.
And I think that definitely should reveal to our audience a level of dedication, you know, to play at 250 ping. It's one thing to say, oh, 250 isn't that much, but hey, hit up a game of 250 ping and you'll know that.
Yes.
You know, I've played a few and I had some friends in NA as well that say, oh, come on, it's not that bad. And I say, okay, it can't be that bad. I'll join you guys for a game or two. It's tough, right? I don't even want to play normal games on there. I can't imagine climbing the solo queue ladder with 250 ping.
So if you think about it, these players from the Jakarta Juggernauts, they are very fresh to League of Legends. I mean, maybe some of them have played a little bit more in the North American servers or even the Southeast Asian servers here and there. But if you think about it, the first year of League of Legends, only at the World Finals, the Season 1 World Finals, was where we saw AD carry and support in the bottom lane. Before that, we saw 2 tanks in the bottom lane in competitive meta.
Yeah.
So, Jakarta Juggernauts are adapting to years worth of meta changes all at once. They're not used to this at all. So, Green Pyramid is definitely a learning point for them. Luffy, though, getting a lot of damage with the Nyx water.
There you go, the man we were just talking about. The dedication coming in from this guy to hit up other servers when the game wasn't even available in his own country. Doing a good job to bully out Nyxwater. He knows that, well, Cassidy is that champion that really is just a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, that Cassidy will be unleashed into the team fight phase, that roaming phase, and that's where all hell breaks loose for the enemy team. So, doing a good job to burn him as much as possible in the laning phase. But really, Nyxwater not all too phased, healing himself back up with his flask and still doing a good job to maintain this. Yes, maybe activating a little bit of aggression right here. A bit of a bait, flashes away. Good job by Luffy to flash away from the Sonic Wave right there.
And a
Very,
250
close.
mechanics right there.
Yeah, man. That's what it's about. You know, when you play a 250 ping, you gotta see those things coming from a mile away. You
Well,
gotta predict.
I managed to get to platinum in NA playing Ezreal.
I'm impressed. Good job.
Playing Ezreal on 200 ping. That's not something I will ever try and do again.
I sure hope you don't.
Now when I play in NA, I just play Annie and just flash R, done.
My job is done here,
The
right?
job is done.
Sue getting a little bit caught out here, but really doesn't take any amount of damage. And well, look at this. Rofen's doing what he can with the blood-boiled Caitlyn to knock down towers a bit. Sue takes a big punch to the face. Well, if you want to call Shock Blast a punch, right there we see the activation of the ultimate from Sivir right here, but they must pull back.
Wow.
Really think anything will come. Oh, what? He actually just burns down. Like, activating his flash and not his heal. Thought he'd be able to get out of that burn myself, but no. Wow. Carrot coming in really just to clear the minion wave, but the Jakarta Juggernauts grouping up around the blood-boiled Caitlyn, giving her all the long-range support that she needs, raining down the accelerated Shock Blast as well, managing to keep the very mobile team of SAJ locked to their towers. I mean, once the SAJ team starts jumping towards you and dancing around your skills, that's where they really look very fearsome, but locked down towards their tower, well, that's a little bit more control you have against this very mobile team.
Jakarta Juggernauts have a very siege-like team composition. Caitlyn Morgana goes without question. So does Jace. Jace has the acceleration Shock Blast combo to speed you guys up and put a ton of damage into the opposition team, and he can siege down towers very nice with his range. TJ adds to that very nicely too. Rumble's the odd pick for me. How does he fit well into this team combo?
Well, you know, the Rumble was the first pick for them. I think they were a little bit... Oh! The immediate activation of the Soul Shackles.
Mad Life, please.
Oh, wait, Gromp. Gromp gonna be MVP for the Jakarta Juggernauts.
That was a battle between Mad Life and Insights, I swear.
Yeah, Cruiser right
GPL
there.
Mad Life.
You know, if only he had had his Black Shield on, then he wouldn't have been kicked away.
Ah, yes.
Nevertheless, Nunu in the Dragon Pit, we know how that's gonna turn out for the team with Nunu. Very, very easy pickup for the Jakarta Juggernauts right there. Almost got the icing on top of the cake, which have been the corpse of safety right there. Ooh. Apple. Yeah, that's... Bye-bye, Apple.
That was nice from Carrot. Dashing over the wall, dashing back out after the charm ends, so there's no response coming in from Apple. Can't even see Ari. And Carrot comes in for one final rush. Spirit rush and gets the kill. Solo kill for Carrot in the mid lane.
Yeah, reminds me, I think, of the game he played, did he play Zed before? He played another assassin champion. I can't find it on the stat sheet right now. And I just remember casting that game. And it was something like the unseen Carrot is the deadliest. Which he just comes out of nowhere. Again, this guy is a substitute for the Saigon Jokers. Hasn't seen all too much game time, but I remember he did impress. You could consider even a bit of a breakout performance. I am looking at the Zero statistics that I have here in front of me. 10, 2, and 7. Might have been that game where the unseen Carrot really was the deadliest. That is, of course, a fantastic showing from him. And even on this new Ari, really, really dancing around Apple and making him look silly. And you know, it just occurred to me, Fish. It's the fruit versus the vegetable battle. Apple versus Carrot.
Apple on Carrot.
So if you're ever wondering, guys.
One's good for the doctor, the other's good for your eyesight.
Yeah. If you ever have to choose between eating a carrot or apple, I think this game tells you all you need to... Wait, then again, apples... Well, it's technically not feeding, but if he was, I'd make the argument that apples are a bit better for the diet. Nevertheless, it seems like Saigon Jokers have said, alright, this siege composition is something that is a little too pesky to deal with in terms of, you know, we don't really want to be nailed down to our towers. They want to have that mobility in their hands. So they are trying to let Prince as well as Stu deal with that, while Dreamman push onto Luffy, doesn't have his flash available, gets kicked back as...
He can do this out. Oh, no, he can't.
Wait, hang on a second. Wow, that was close. My goodness, real close. We saw Carrot actually tanking up damage from the tower a little bit, had to back away from that. They do have the minion wave here though, so I do expect the tier 2 to be taken. No, actually, the back from Apple, respecting the long range damage that Jace can deliver. But with that being said, Jakarta Juggernauts was a little bit hard fought, but have managed to take down yet another tower with the blood-boiled Caitlyn.
I like the siege from the Jakarta Juggernauts this game. They've definitely come into this game with a strategy in mind. They want to be sieging towers as groups of 4, leave the other member up in the other lane that being pushed against them to try to defend that. that's been working out well for them so far. They've managed to get 2 towers, and they've managed to put damage down onto the top lane inner turret. Saigon Jokers are just still a little bit too quick for the Jakarta Juggernauts. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, and I think this is a good point in the game where perhaps we can discuss. Whoa, actually, Carrot backs off, but Nixwater goes in. Maybe a little bit of a communication desync right there as Nixwater takes about 6 bullets to the face. With that Blood Boil, Rofence is absolutely dishing out the damage. Doesn't even have huge items just yet, but doing a good job to land what he can as Nixwater has his back delayed. And you know, as you said, the siege composition really nice coming out from the Jakarta Juggernauts, but you know, when a siege composition gets collapsed on, it gets collapsed on hard. There is Rofence zoned out of the fight already. 3 members, blinking red health bars. Luffy trying to be the hero of the team, drops a decent equalizer, but by that time, the rest of the team had to back away. Saigon Jokers rushing in with the ultimate activated from Prince, locking down. Oh man, that's got to be another one. Goodbye.
Carrot just flipped the switch there. Spirit Rush straight into the face of Rofers and got the charm down on Rofers. Sorry, I got the charm down onto Apple instead. Obliterated the mid laner for Jakarta Juggernauts and then immediately chased down in onto the AD carry, while the rest of his team took down Luffy, who got caught between a rock and a Saigon Joker.
A rock and a Saigon Joker. A rock and a Joker, you know, you would think you would take the Joker, but Joker's right now looking...
Yeah, I would take the rock.
You take the rock? I think when you're going up against the Saigon Jokers, that would be the better choice. 7-1 now. Oh, just with the way the composition stacks up or that has been built, you would think the Saigon Jokers need a little more time to ramp up, and sure they do. But so far, except for the first tower that was taken... Oh man, here we go again. Carrot really using the increased movement speed on the Orb of Deception to dance around his opponent. Wasn't able to quite catch out anybody for a kill right there. You gotta give credit to the Jakarta Juggernauts for sticking to the strength of their composition. They say, we still got the siege, guys. We just need to be careful of Carrot's engage. Just then, they managed to dodge it out. They have shoved Carrot, you know, back. He has to return to base, and that leaves Prince as the sole wave clear as Nixwater is top. One more wave, and I do think the Jakarta Juggernauts will be able to take down this tower.
Juggernauts not giving up on this siege. Ari's actually headed back to base. Going to jump out the bottom lane. This Silverpick is wrecking the siege comp that they've set up here. Every time a wave comes close, you see the boomerang blades into the ricochets come out. Dragon's up in 12 seconds. Jakarta Juggernauts could potentially rush this down, but if they do, I foresee Saigon Juggernauts getting an ace here if Jakarta Juggernauts try to take this dragon. They're way too low. There's no mana available. Not many summoners and not many ultimates left up either.
Oh, Sue, the sacrificial lamb in terms of the vision game, managed to push them back, perhaps an elaborate bait. Here comes the collapse, though. Luffy already dropped down. Carrot in the back line, shredding apart the carries. There was the ace, as you rightly predicted, Fish. You have to feel with the Nunu, they just really wanted that third dragon with the spawn. A little bit of unfortunate timing for the Jakarta Juggernauts right there. Knew the dragon was coming up, didn't want to give away that third stack, but as it is, they give away far more. 7-0-1 now is Carrot. My goodness. I don't think he'll be feeling the removal of the charm amplification whatsoever, as he's already so far ahead in the damage game right now. It's pretty ridiculous.
Jakarta Juggernauts finding there was a very questionable move, especially with all of their members relatively low before the fight took place. And they engaged onto Su, and they didn't kill him. They did end up killing him later on, but they blew flashes for it. They put themselves in dangerous situations. And eventually they got ace for it. Not a good trade for the Jakarta Juggernauts.
Alright then, Zonya's completed onto Carrot, so he was already very aggressive with the way he was initiating fights. Now he'll have a second lease of life in terms of just jumping in there, drawing all the aggro onto himself, and then popping that Zonya's. Nixwater himself, Rod of Ages completed, stacking up that tier. They've caught out Luffy a bit, dropping him to below half health, but they've got a big wave in the top. Prince will be taking care of that. And once again, it's just the deep push into jungle, as any team that is ahead will do so, getting the vision down so that they can rotate. They can take the tier 2s with ease. Really have to feel that the Jakarta Juggernauts themselves, if they get pinned to a tower or they're on defensive duties, while they can rain down some long range damage, some good poke, it'll only come to a point, or there's only so much they can stall before the dive, as well as the activation of the On the Hunt Sibber just catapults Nyx Water, as well as the 701 carrot right into the ranks in the backline of the Jakarta Juggernauts, and just really sow all the chaos they need to break out into a very successful, convincing team fight for the Saigon Rangers. Chilling Smite as well as Ice Blast. That's got to be about the slowest collapse on the Prince I've seen so far. There you go, they have his flash as well as his heal down. My goodness, Prince is running a marathon right here, as the rest of his team is just taking the towers actually. So, a big investment in terms of Prince's summoner spells as well as ultimate.
It's not good for us, Saigon, sorry, it's not good for Jakarta Juggernauts.
Yeah, I mean, it's one member stringing 5 to the tune
Uh-oh, they're gonna try and stop the back
one
here.
member. Oh.
Safety got the Q, will he go for it?
Just go for it, Safety, come on. Uh-oh, yeah, oh man, they've done a good job delaying
One of
this.
the inhibitors should be going down here. I don't see how it can stay up. He's gonna get a lot of damage down onto this inhibitor. Carrot's doing a good job.
Yeah, you got a feel for Luffy right there. He had to choose between top and bottom. Decided to go for the Cassin, which will leave the bottom open. Carrot still has his ultimate. Whoa, actually uses it aggressively, burning the flash as well as Black Shield from Cruiser. That will open up the kill on to Apple.
Carrot is legendary.
Yikes, yeah. I mean, you would think, I think if you were the Jakarta Juggernauts, alright, this guy's done his job. He's going to back off. But look at that, he decides to use his ultimate aggressively. There's the TP in from Nyx Water as he... Did he even back? I'm not even sure if he backed. I don't think he even went back to base. He just TP down from top side to get the inhibitor
SAJ
bottom
just
side.
want to end it. They just want to take all the inhibitors down one by one. They possibly could. I don't see why not.
Minion wave bottom side crashing into the enemy base, but the Jakarta Juggernauts managed to clear the mid one out, so they will get a little bit of a lease of life right there. But you can see, my goodness, just the vision control from Jakarta Juggernauts, non-existent beyond their base walls. It looks like a level 1 start, honestly, where you really only have your own base for vision, and that really shows you just how far Saigon Jokers are in control of this game.
Saigon Jokers, 11,000 gold in the lead ahead of Jakarta Juggernauts. Apple doesn't even hurt that much anymore. It's dangerous. Here comes On the Hunt. They're going to jump in the gate.
Oh, they've managed to kick 2J back. I mean, it really doesn't matter who they pick right now. We're talking about fed double AP carries. They can pick whoever they want. Oh, man, look at that. Yep, yeah, that's really it. You just gotta pick any character you could see. Even 2J, even when he was kicked in, it didn't really matter. There is no front line existent from the Jakarta Juggernauts. And for the Saigon Jokers, they have played this out even cleaner than game number 1. 17-2. I criticized them, or, I was a little bit critical of their pick and ban phase, saying they needed to pick something that, maybe was just gonna convincingly smash their opponents. But they picked champions that were able to pick off kills or two, or activate picks with the likes of Ari and Cassidy can just follow up on that very easily. And if anything, it's an even more impressive showing that they don't need to go for champions that are super strong in the early game and yet pull out a kill score like this, as well as the objectives. 24 minutes in, we see 2 inhibitors down, and most likely one more in just the next 2 or 3 minutes. And well, folks, I don't really like to do this in competitive league, but I think it's a foregone conclusion, really, for the Jakarta Juggernauts. I don't see them getting back into this game whatsoever.
I just see Saigon Joker taking either Baron and pushing, or just pushing in general. They don't need to do much else against Jakarta Juggernauts right now. They are incredibly far ahead. They have the item advantage, they have level advantages. Like you said, it's really nothing much that Jakarta Juggernauts can do. Unless they manage to catch them one by one slowly.
Oh, goodness.
Carrot's not going to let that happen. He might even get a kill here. Yes.
Oh! The last Foxfire. Alright.
Foxfire. No, it's not quite enough.
Carrot really having such a great performance, you know.
Yes, 10-0-4.
Yeah. I think great may be a little bit of an understatement, but again, I just have to bring out, this is a guy that is, you know, a substitute. Lovita is, of course, the, if you want, the main mid player on the side of the Saigon Jokers, and maybe Carrot with his performance. Again, I think take it with a pinch of salt. Again, these are very new players, the Jakarta Juggernauts. Definitely not a top tier team in the GPL by no means, but still, 10-0-4, very, very impressive. His decisiveness, or whoever's really the shot caller, activating that aggression with his RE. Safety does get taken down. That will perhaps delay the inevitable outcome of this game somewhat.
That movement speed is insane.
It's pretty silly. It looks like Earth mode has been activated already.
It's bizarre. Lossie's taking a lot of damage. They're just battering down the Nexus now.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the Q is it doesn't need to hit to give you that movement speed. So
It's gone.
you can use it to just traverse the map, to dance around skill shots even if you don't need the damage. Prince wants more kills before he lands the finishing touches onto the Nexus, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. An even more convincing showing coming out from the Saigon Jokers in game number 2 against the Jakarta Juggernauts. If you want an even harsher lesson in competitive League of Legends for the Jakarta Juggernauts.
That's right, so Saigon Jokers will pick up another win here in the Green Premier League, going 2-0 against the Jakarta Juggernauts. And look at the score coming in for Carrot. 11-0-5 at the end of that game. 12,600 gold, 208 minions to his name. He played phenomenally well. So did Prince, actually, 4-1-11. He had a nice game on Graves earlier in their first match against the Jakarta Juggernauts. And that be it for set number 1 of tonight. We have more matches coming out soon. Who will be playing next?
It will be Hanoi Full Lewis against the Fat Rabbits. It will be, I dare say, a closer match. Definitely a more exciting match, just in terms of the fact that not only in terms of skill level, but the way the standings of the table match up. They are tied for second place.
Yes. So
they have not only today's games, they have a few more